Hello there everyone, Stormy Strike here, and welcome to my review video of Spirit Riding Free Season 4. The new season just came out today on March 16th, 2018. The first half of this review will not contain any spoilers if you haven't watched the season yet, and then the second part of the video will contain spoilers, but I will warn you before it gets to that part in case you have not watched the season yet and don't want to be spoiled. I have done reviews already on the first 3 seasons of Spirit Riding Free. If you want to watch those videos, I will have a card in the upper right hand corner and links down in the description below. Now onto the review. I feel like with each season of the show, it just keeps getting better and better. I feel like the writing has gotten better with each season, and the more I just watch this show, the more I enjoy it. I know before I've complained about some of the weird things about the horses and animation and stuff, but it seems like once you kind of get used to it, kind of doesn't really bother you anymore, and I'm actually really growing to like the animation style of this show. I think it is actually pretty cool and feels rather unique. I know people will complain that it's a horse show that sometimes doesn't have much to do with horses, but I'm totally okay with this. I like seeing the stories about Lucky and relationships with her and her family and friends. Although there are still, of course, horses involved in the stories, and there is even interaction with spirits heard in this season. I really like how some of the stories have been carrying over into other episodes, and I will talk a little bit more about that when I get to the spoiler part of the review. There were some moments in this season that really made me laugh out loud. There also were some moments in this season where I got some major feels going on. Some moments that were just surprisingly more emotional than I expected. And in this season, I really like that we get to learn a lot more about Lucky's family. Something else I was really excited about for this season is that it has provided me some more material actually for another Spirit Riding Free video that I've been working on. And I'm really excited for you guys to see it. I'm really curious what you guys are going to think about it. So be on the lookout for that coming out within the upcoming weeks, because I really want to work on that video now and share it after seeing this season. Speaking of which, it has been confirmed that there will be another season for Spirit Riding Free. Season 5 will be coming out on May 11th, 2018. Overall, I really enjoyed this season. They are doing things that I personally really like. I liked that in this season they also brought up a lot of stuff that they've done in previous episodes in the previous seasons. I don't know why, but I do like it when shows will bring up stuff from the past. In my opinion, it just supports the world building and showing that everything is connected. Alright, I think that is pretty much all I'm going to say now then for the non-spoiler part of this review. So now is the official warning that I am going to start talking about spoilers of Season 4. So beware! Spoilers up ahead! Woo! Spoilers! Now into the spoiler portion of this review. So what I'm going to do is go through episode by episode and give my thoughts on different things on each of those episodes. Which of course then means we are going to start off with episode 1 of season 6. What I found really interesting is that this first episode actually starts off not long after the previous episode, which was the season finale of season 3. If you don't remember, to recap that episode, Spirit almost died again by almost getting killed by a mountain lion. But unlike the beginning of Season 3, where they showed Spirit was really hurt, and then all of a sudden the next episode he was just fine, there's no mention of him having recovery time or anything. It was kind of like he just magically got better. In this episode, it's not really the case, and I'm really glad that they addressed it, that what happened to him really was difficult and took him time to get over. So the beginning of episode 1 starts off with Spirit recovering from the mountain lion attack. And so this was actually a jumping off point for the whole story of the episode, and Lucky taking a job at the little ice cream parlor shop. Now there is something else I probably could have actually mentioned in the non-spoiler portion of the review, but I didn't really think of it until just now, and that is there are quite a few references I noticed in this season that younger audiences probably wouldn't really understand or maybe get that they actually have some deeper meaning to them, which I thought was really good because then us older audiences just kind of find some more enjoyment in it. Like, I particularly liked this scene in episode 1 where the shop parlor guy, I'm sorry, I don't know if he has a name or not. If he did, I just missed it. But he says, "Have you ever had a job before?" And Lucky says no. And he says, "Then you can't help." And what I think is so funny about this is I feel like it's almost a reference to young adults trying to get job experience in a nutshell. And I just thought that was really funny. Maybe no one else will think of it that way, but that is what I thought of that moment was. Because it's pretty often that young adults are getting a job to get job experience, yet that job won't hire them because they don't have job experience. And that is what this moment made me think of. Something in this episode that I thought was really cute was that the full governor was with Spirit a lot, and Spirit kind of was like his adoptive daddy, and I thought that was really adorable, and I wish that would have carried over maybe a little more into the later episodes of the season, but I'm kind of surprised and sad that it didn't, especially on the last episode of this season. The governor doesn't show up at all, and I feel like they should have put him in there somehow because this might have been even a greater buildup of conflict and tension in what's been going on, and I'll talk more about that when I get into my discussion for episode 6. Overall, I thought this first episode was really cute, although I did think Lucky's moral of the story was a little confusing. I'm not even sure what the moral of Lucky's story was supposed to be, really. It was like, don't give other people advice. No, wait, do give other people advice. I don't really know. So that was the only part that I was a little confused about. Otherwise, I did really like the episode. And I actually thought the little moral that went with Spirit's kind of story in that episode was really cute and well done. And it was basically, just rest and recover from things. Don't go out there and have adventures when you're still healing up and stuff. I know it's not like a huge moral or anything, but I thought it was done really well, especially for a lot of the moments when they didn't have any dialogue and Spirit was just interacting with Governor. I just thought there was some really good storytelling going on with that. Now let's get into episode 2. I am happy that Aunt Cora still has her pet goose, by the way. I know I probably mentioned that, I think, in the last season review, but it just makes me really happy that they're keeping consistent on those kinds of things and showing that Aunt Cora still has her wonderful goose pet. I like in this episode that it's the start of getting to see more of Lucky's family, particularly her grandpa on her dad's side of the family. I'm mostly going to talk about the ending of this episode because it is what I really like. I like the fact that Lucky was not able to just completely change her grandfather's mind on how she was living, and that he actually left at the end kind of in a not good place with everybody. Now you may be thinking, why is that good? That's sad. Her grandpa did not completely accept her and her family's lifestyle there. Well, I think it's good because I think it is more realistic. There was some change in that she was able to show her grandpa that she is really strong and brave. What I'm trying to say is I'm happy that this show didn't go the easy route of being able to easily change characters, and I think it also does open up the fact that he could come back in later episodes. And I just think it was a really good decision to not go the easy route and do a little bit more complicated relationships with characters and not have it take a predictable children's show ending. Also with the ending is that Cora decides to move out, which is a pretty drastic change, which actually affects other episodes in this season and just the whole series as a whole right now. It's not a super drastic change because she did not leave Miradero completely, but the fact that she did move out and it changes the lifestyle that Lucky and her father have is still a pretty big leap, I feel like. And I'm really glad to see that they are doing these changes in the show. They are mixing it up, making the show different as it goes along, and making these characters change and grow, which I think is just fantastic. I don't have a huge amount to say for this episode, but I really like that the storyline with Aunt Cora leaving carries over into this episode, and then it will carry over even more into episode 4. In this episode, we see more of Lucky's dad and Miss Flores' relationship, which comes up later in the season, so it was nice that they started building that in more earlier on. And this episode just brings up a lot more things that I'm just going to talk about in the episode 4 review. So let's do that now. Episode 4. I just really liked this episode for the relationships between Cora and the other characters. And I admittedly had feels at the end of this episode when Lucky gave Aunt Cora the quilt. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so sweet, and I just really loved it. I don't know if anybody else got lots of feels during that scene, but I know I sure did. I'm just really happy with the direction that this series is taking, in that it is allowing the changes I mentioned before. It's allowing Cora not living with Lucky. It's allowing Kate Flores to have a relationship with Lucky's dad. I haven't watched a whole lot of younger kids shows in a while, but I do feel like they're not as confident in taking these bigger changes. Now, I could be wrong about that, but regardless, I'm just happy that Spirit Writing Free is doing this. Wow, okay, that was like pretty much all my notes on episode 4 as well, so we'll go into episode 5. Episode 5 is actually my favorite episode, I think, of the season, and I have a whole lot to talk about that one. So in episode 5, it brings up a conflict between Spirit and Smoke, another horse in his herd. So Smoke is, I guess, kind of like a bachelor stallion, and he is trying to take over Spirit's herd. Now, this isn't quite how herd dynamics in real life work, because usually these like bachelor stallions or stallions that want to take over the herd are usually in their own little bands, and they will come from outside the herd to challenge the lead stallion. But because Spirit Riding Free obviously is not really even that real of a place because of all the previous things I've talked about, we won't get into those things, but I feel like how they did it fits in well with the world of Spirit Riding Free. And I really like that Spirit is being challenged for his leadership in the herd, because it is kind of implausible that he would just be able to lead his herd with no problems ever really arising or no one else challenging him, and that his relationship with Lucky wouldn't cause problems for him being able to lead his herd, which we see later on in episode 6, which I will get to later. I like that the tension between Smoke and Spirit reoccurs throughout this episode and episode 6. The only major critique I have is why the foal Governor wasn't in the herd. Now, there is a foal that kind of resembles Governor, but he is not the same foal. His colors are not the same, and his personality isn't the same either. So I am kind of disappointed that they didn't include Governor in the herd, because I feel like that would have brought up a lot more tension and stakes for Spirit wanting to keep his herd. I don't really know why they didn't include Governor in there. Maybe Governor actually went to live with another herd or something. I don't know, but I really do wish they would have included Governor in there, just because it would have made it so much better in my opinion. But they did use this other little foal to show some of the tensions between Spirit and Smoke. In this episode and in episode 6, they show a lot of flashbacks to Lucky's mom when she was younger, and I really liked this. I also really liked all the transitions to and from these flashbacks. They were done pretty well and creatively, I thought. I'm sorry, I'm really weird. I'm a film student. I love editing, so I notice weird things like the transitions and things like that. Also, from Lucky's mom's flashbacks, we learn that this white horse that we've seen in the toys, whose name is I'm just not even trying to pronounce his name. His name's on screen. But it turns out that that horse is actually Lucky's mom's horse. We had no idea who this horse was really before this season. And so now I'm really happy that they explained who this horse is, and that he actually has a pretty significant part. Speaking of horses, the horse Luna in the circus I think is really, really pretty. And I believe this horse does appear in a Breyer Stablemates blind bag series of some sort, although I would like to see more of this horse in merchandise and toys, just because I think its coloring is super pretty and unique. I don't know, if you guys think that this horse needs to be in more merch, you can let me know down in the comments. I think like a plushie or a classic or traditional scale Briar Horse of Luna would be really cool. The reason that I think this episode is my favorite is because there were a lot of great little gems in this episode for the story and characters. I loved the semi-subtle reactions Lucky had toward her father and Kate Florence being together. They weren't super dramatic reactions, but it was enough to show that she still has feelings towards the idea of her father being with someone else. And of course this is also brought up in episode 6. What I thought was even a more subtle yet powerful reaction was a quick look that Kate Flores gave when Lucky's dad was telling Cora about Lucky's mom. Now sometimes it's just these like really subtle things that I think really make for good characters and stories, and they keep it from having on-the-nose dialogue. Because just this one quick reaction tells us that Kate is worried about being good enough for Mr. Prescott. Now this was a quick moment, it was only a couple seconds, but it was enough to tell us that her character was worried about being good enough for Lucky's dad. And then some more of this happens again later at the party at their house. I just really like this because it is a small yet festering tension between these characters, and I was even more happy to see that it carried over into the next episode and became something even bigger. Because it is things like this that make for good drama. Does anyone else ship the strongman with Cora? No? No, just me? Okay. On to episode 6. As I've already mentioned, this episode pretty much continues on with the story of episode 5. These episodes are actually called part 1 and part 2 of each other, so they're more like just being one big episode. I will admit that I was not expecting Mr. Prescott. I'm sorry, does he have a first name? I swear I have not caught his first name if they've mentioned it. I'm sure they must have during the show, but I have not caught it for some reason. But Mr. Prescott proposing to Miss Flores was a bit of a surprise to me. I knew he was like doing something special for her or whatever, but I did not expect that he was actually going to propose to her. And I am so down with this though, because this just brings up more tensions and stakes and drama, and I love it. I want to mention the circus performance scene. I liked in this scene how it transitions back and forth between the past with her mom performing in the circus and then her performing in the circus. I thought that was really cool, and it was kind of a really sweet and tender moment when they had like the little ghosting, I don't know what you'd call that, but like ghosting effect of her mom running alongside her in the show. I thought that was really sweet, and I just really liked that moment. Now the ending of season 6 was pretty crazy. It didn't really surprise me as much about Lucky running away to join the circus. I wasn't really surprised by that at all. What surprised me was that Spirit was pretty much forced to choose between his herd or Lucky, and I was really surprised by that. I didn't think they would really bring up that issue in the show, but they did, and I thought it was crazy that Spirit did end up choosing Lucky and that he's giving up his herd, and I'm wondering if he is going to get his herd back at some point or start a new herd, or what is going to happen in the next season. What is Lucky going to do? I am left with all these questions, and now I really can't wait for season 5. I am really just enjoying the show more and more. I know in the beginning I was really critical of it, but I am really just enjoying it a lot more as it goes along. I feel like the writing has just gotten a lot better over the course of the series. The speed at which they've been putting out new seasons for this show is pretty crazy. This show has actually not even been out for a full year yet they already have 4 seasons, and the next one is already coming out in May. Granted, these are short seasons with only 6 episodes that are only around 22 minutes each, but it is still pretty crazy, I think, how quickly they are doing the production on this show. To finish off this episode, I want to hear from you guys. I want to know what you thought about this season, and I want to know which episode from season 4 was your favorite. So don't forget to leave me a comment down below with your thoughts, and don't forget to give this video a like. It really helps me out on my content and lets me know that you guys want to see more Spirit Writing Free videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye everyone!